than Washington or Baltimore. Take a look outside the window right now if you haven't been out for a few.
Good evening from snowy Philadelphia. This is Mike Seidel in Center City. How much of this stuff is coming at us? We'll check the forecast. Get the shovels ready. Trust me.
You can run, but you can't hide from winter. Washington, D.C. Our winter weather expert Paul Cosin will join us with the details.
Friday is the gateway to the weekend, but snow is going to complicate your plans if you live in many of the East Coast cities. As we look across the rest of the nation, we don't find many problems, but there will be a few.
The Weather Channel Evening Edition continues.
Hello, my friend. Welcome to the Weather Channel Evening Edition. Paul Goodlow's got the week off. I'm Dave Schwartz.
And I'm Jennifer Lopez, and thank you so much for making us a part of your Thursday night. A storm that's left a swath of snow from the Front Range to the Rockies to the Ohio Valley is now bearing down on the Northeast. Something as simple as walking was tricky today in Tulsa, Oklahoma, and you can blame it on the snowy and blustery conditions. Today's high barely cracked freezing. The snow has ended. Now it's just the cold you will have to deal with. Conditions in New York City will be heading down, 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 just like these people are heading into the subway. You're in for another blast of winter weather. It is going to start snowing pretty soon. It's already snowing in and around LaGuardia and will continue throughout the day tomorrow. How much will you get? Well, let's check in with our winter weather expert Paul Cosin in just a minute. But first off, let's talk to Mike Seidel. He joins us now live from Philadelphia, where Mike, it looks like the snow is really coming down quite heavy, and things are pretty quiet out there. But Dave wants to know, are there any soft pretzel vendors out there selling anything tonight?
Gosh, I wish there were. I didn't get dessert at dinner time, either that or a cheesesteak vendor. How about that, David? Being from Philadelphia. We're out here right in front of the Franklin Institute, and the snow is still coming down. It's 3/4 of a mile visibility at the airport, so still officially light snow. You've got to get down below 5/8 of a mile for it to be moderate snow. We think that'll happen overnight tonight and into the rush hour. We're expecting 4 to 8 inches. Roadways in not the best of shape. We've not seen any plows or salt trucks out here, and we've got, we're approaching about 1 inch of snow already out here on the streets. And again, we're going to get some ice below here, especially where the cars have traveled. But notice these roadways are very slippery, snow covered, and especially in the morning, the roads that are not plowed or treated are going to be tough going. And also remember the airport situation. Any planes that came in tonight in any of the airports between Reagan, Washington's Reagan, BWI here in Philadelphia, New York, are going to have to be de-iced, along with ground delay programs will likely be in effect. In fact, I talked to the FAA, and they're going to get together with all the airports in this area in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic and discuss their plan of attack at about 4:15 in the morning Eastern time. But good news for those of you trying to get in and out of the New York City airports, LaGuardia, Kennedy, and Newark. They have a full crew already on standby to get the snow off the runways. As far as snowfall 48 this time, but 25 years ago we were talking about the blizzard of 78 and some significant snowfalls. Here in Philadelphia, though, it wasn't too bad. In fact, it didn't even rank in the top 5 storms of all time, 14.1. But as Mish Michaels just showed us, unbelievable snow, hurricane force winds up there in the Boston area, 27 inches. And as you drop south and east towards Baltimore and D.C., the snowfall amounts dropped off considerably. Tonight we're looking at the library here in Philadelphia, all lit up, and some pretty pictures here. Kind of serene down here in Center City as the snow adds up. Again, look out in the rush hour. It's going to be snowing harder overnight through rush hour, tapering off around midday or so, and then just cloudy and cold the rest of tomorrow with temperatures right around freezing. 27 right now as some snow continues to come down. But it's all heading up towards New York and Boston and Providence and the Cape with more on the developing storm off the southeast coast. Here's our winter weather expert, Paul Cosin. Paul?
Well, this is a pretty healthy storm system. It's a good thing it's going to be moving fast because every indication is this storm is going to be developing quite rapidly. We're already seeing evidence of that. If you take a look at the satellite image right now, we can just see that very healthy, what's called a leaf cloud, indicative of very strong rising motions, but it's fast moving, and that's associated with low pressure now developing off the southeast coast. That's going to be moving rapidly up towards the northeast. And we're already seeing that evidence with the significant snows coming down across western North Carolina, much of Virginia, except the southeastern portion just southeast of Richmond, Virginia, and the snow expanding rapidly northeastward into Philadelphia, and even a little bit of light snow even coming down in New York now. Here's the upper level disturbance responsible. That's going to be moving quite rapidly, but as it does so, the low pressure area is going to come up and respond to that upper level disturbance and produce some pretty significant snowfall overnight between the Washington and Philadelphia areas, and then especially across New York towards eastern Long Island, we will see 3 to 6 inches of snow. Heaviest snow on the order of 6 to 10 inches likely just south of Washington, D.C., across Delaware, southern New Jersey, and across portions of extreme southeastern Massachusetts. The bright whites here showing all the significant snows really flowing up towards the north and northeast, so it just looks like a very snowy night. Heaviest snow will be falling across the Washington-Baltimore area overnight. It will be coming to fruition across Philadelphia towards tomorrow morning, and New York you'll see your heaviest snows during the day, as well as Boston later in the day. Probably a shorter period of snow in New York and Boston, but Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, you're going to see the prime snow with about 4 to 8 inches of snow, and the heaviest snow again on a line from about just to the southeast of these cities on the order of 6 to 8, maybe 10 inches as well. Even eastern Long Island, southeastern Massachusetts, you'll see the significant snows. As far as what we're seeing across the New York area, one little band of snow, but some more significant snows moving in during the next several hours. Jennifer?
All right, thanks a lot, Paul. And now let's go to Dave with a look at your current conditions.
And here we are. Aside from this storm, what else is there? Well, there really isn't much. This is where the moisture is rising in the atmosphere, and the clouds and the snow, of course, in the cold air, and the rain south of there. From Charlotte to Norfolk southward, fortunately, it is all rain. We just missed this one. Chattanooga, you've had some wet snow. Actually, up on Lookout Mountain, a couple of inches of snow. Atlanta, all rain, a nasty day. Charlotte, 34, raining. Ugh. Meanwhile, here in northern Mecklenburg County, some wet snowflakes have been falling. And if you head up toward Hickory, well, you're asking for trouble if you don't slow down due to all the slush out there on the roads. Snow tapering off to flurries tonight in Indianapolis and Nashville, and then that will be it. The band of clouds will head further southward, and we could be socked in this weekend with clouds and maybe a few sprinkles. Tampa over to Orlando, so you might want to keep that in mind. And in Texas, it will remain cloudy and cool. Not cold, not super cold like we have here in the Midwest. 6 in Des Moines, 19 in Chicago, but plenty cold either side of the front you're on. Here's the next batch of cold air that's heading southward. The only warm spot today would be Florida, and here in the west we have a good offshore wind flow. And we've had plenty of sunshine. The winds are beginning to taper off here in California. It's a gorgeous night, though, in San Francisco and here in San Diego. Los Angeles, absolutely gorgeous. That's the State of the Union, at least weather-wise, here across the country. The big story, obviously, this storm, and the snow has already begun to stick here in Washington, D.C. It will continue to accumulate at up to an inch per hour tonight, so there'll be some major problems tomorrow morning. mild snowstorm. Not intense snow, not a whole lot of wind, but how about 6 inches of snow when you wake up in the morning? Here in D.C., Baltimore, Philadelphia, 6 inches of snow. It's beautiful out there tonight. Walking the dog, taking out the trash, just peering out the window. Just going like this, get that vapor off. Isn't that gorgeous, honey? Well, you're right, but then you're going to have to be out in it tomorrow morning. So you might want to hit the sack early and set the alarm a little early.